competition from the United States of America through trade agreements that undermine our export interests, demand maximum concessions, and openly aim to weaken and subordinate Europe, combined with an endless accumulation of new tariffs that are fundamentally unacceptable.
Davos 2026 has become a battleground between US and Europe. NATO and EU top brass have used the WEF stage to give it back to insults hurled by US President Trump. France, Canada, Belgium, Croatia, Lithuania, EU, and many more have come out guns blazing to counter Trump, the most unfiltered verbal duel. Here is what is happening. French President Emmanuel Macron accused the US of undermining global governance and weakening multilateralism. He highlighted Europe's right to defend itself economically and militarily while urging NATO allies to cooperate on Arctic security. Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney, condemned Trump's tariff threats over Greenland. He stressed NATO's Article 5 and Canada's investments in Arctic defense capabilities, calling for focused diplomatic talks instead of coercion.
Europe has very strong tools now, and we have to use them when we are not respected and when the rules of the game are not respected, by the way. The anti-coercion mechanism is a powerful instrument, and we should not hesitate to deploy it in today's tough environment.
Canada strongly opposes tariffs over Greenland and calls for focused talks to achieve our shared objectives of security and prosperity in the Arctic.
Meanwhile, Belgium's Prime Minister, Bart De Wever, warned that so many red lines have been crossed, framing Trump's provocations as a threat to Europe's dignity and the 80-year-old Transatlantic alliance.
But now, so many red lines are being crossed that you have the choice between your self-respect. Being a happy vassal is one thing, being a miserable slave is something else. If you back down now, you're going to lose your dignity. And that's probably the most precious thing you can have in a democracy. It's your dignity. So we should unite.
Now the Greenland has taken us, the entire debate, into a different direction, a bit odd, unexpected, but these are the realities of a changing global order. I think the only safe way for the European Union to remain an actor is to try to be as united as possible.
So this is the reason why all the time I support the idea of imposing the sanctions on Belarus, because this country is a source of instability in the region. What should Europe do? Of course, Europe should take more responsibilities, not only in the field of economy, but also in the field of military forces. And I see that we made quite significant progress in last months.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called into question the trustworthiness of the US on agreed deals, warning that tariffs among long-standing allies are a strategic mistake. She urged Europe to seize this crisis as an opportunity to build a new independent Europe, emphasizing cooperation with Arctic NATO allies and defending trade agreements.
And when friends shake hands, it must mean something. Ladies and gentlemen, we consider the people of the United States not just our allies, but our friends. And plunging us into a downward spiral would only aid the very adversaries we are both so committed to keeping out of the strategic landscape.
With Europe united, NATO and the EU are ready to respond to Trump's tariff threats using economic and diplomatic tools, including the anti-coercion instrument and retaliatory tariffs. The Greenland standoff has become a defining moment for transatlantic relations, testing the limits of cooperation, sovereignty, and the Western alliance. In Davos, the message is clear. Europe will stand together, not bow down.